Hey, what's up? I'm doing this cold open for the show just because I'm doing the StreamYard thing, and you're gonna see me in a minute. But this is gonna be just a raw run, get the episode through, and I need to make sure that I can be heard. And you know what? I didn't even check to see if this actually went live yet because I didn't open YouTube. So I need a second. Let me see if I'm live. I'm going to run a song in just a second. This is kind of a test to the intro. Am I going here? I am. Okay, I am live. All right, good. So then the question is, can you hear the music? Okay. See? All right. There we are. What's good? Let me turn on there we go. I promised you'd see me. All right. We're going to get on with it. I'm just double checking here. Because I have to confirm that things are working properly. I'm going to be keeping an eye on mobile for chats just in case I don't see them here. Hopefully, nothing crashes. But this is happening because now I can't run OBS because I have to take the little money that I earn and I have to crunch it into other investments, including closing old debts. And so money's got to go where money's got to go. And I just need to be up to a consistent standard. And eventually I can raise my standards after I've achieved consistency. So that's just a slow grind. Anyway, so that was Crimson King from Demons and Wizards, uh, which I'd like to talk to John Schaefer if he'd come on, but you know, I run my mouth like a motherfucker, and so I've made sure I've checked all the boxes where nobody in the world would want to talk to me. And so that's why we're here. Well, not nobody in the world. I'm being dramatic. Um, but let's just say I'm not ready to open my mouth yet because time is past and it's been a bit insulting. I'll put it to you that way. Anyway. Hey, there we go. Intergalactic Boo. And good. The comment section is working. Great. Now, hopefully this looks good. We're going to go back to why does it say stop screen? Shouldn't it be? Oh, that's why. Okay. Share screen. And now I go here. And don't think I need to share the audio. Okay. So we're going to read it right off the Internet Archives. I can't even, I don't even like poking around with my stuff right now, you know? Okay. Hold on a second. Let me try and get these dimensions a little bit better. So I knew I was going to have to deal with this kind of nonsensically. I'm just going to read a chapter 5. I think chapter 5 is where we left off. I'm going to need that too. Chapter 5, Other Masters I Have Found. Excuse me. It is not enough that one wanders over many lands like a dog in a kitchen. It is necessary to understand more afterwards than before. Everyone should be able to describe properly what he has seen and learned. A clear description of what has been seen gives listeners the opportunity to judge whether a traveler's boasts are true. So, as to give you examples of this chapter, I will tell you about people who call themselves masters of the art, and I will tell you about how they manage their art. In the 6th chapter, I intend to explain to you what I have seen and learned, and I will also tell you whether, on reflection, I found their doings true or not. The very first master I visited was Rabbi Moses from Mainz, religious but incompetent in holy secrets and magic knowledge. He was superstitious. Didn't I read this already? This feels like I read it already. In Austria, I found people who are bad or crazy. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. All right, let's move ahead then. I'm not on that chapter. I must be on 6, the beginning of wisdom. When I saw this stylized T, like I saw this first, and it made me think of this looks like a dragon. I'm just gonna say it looks kind of like a dragon. The wings, the body. This thing doesn't make sense. But then you got the tail. That could maybe make sense if it's got legs and you're kind of seeing one of its legs, and that's the idea. But anyway, just interesting note that I saw it like that. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of God, as mentioned in Sirach chapter 1, verse 14. He who does not fear Adonai and yet pursues the wisdom either becomes crazy or falls into the webs of Satan and Lucifer or Leviathan. This is because he builds on and without a foundation on which his house can stand. Did I read that too? I could have sworn I read that. I kind of want to respond to that. And I know that if I read it, I didn't respond to it that way. So bear with me a second while I go back in time. What was the last page what was the last chapter I was reading here? Come on. Rain. And what is this? Where am I? So it. One second. So, true wisdom damages Belial's. Oh wow. Okay. That's chapter 9. I might even be past that. One second. Sorry, guys. I was going way too far back. Hey, Code Red Do Girl. How you doing, girl? Thanks for popping in. Chapter 7, 8. Yeah, see, now I remember these pictures. Okay. Yeah. Then chapter 9. So I read chapter 9. And then chapter 10 was short. Chapter 11. Okay, hold on a second. What's that? Trying to find it. Yeah, these are all short chapters over here, so I may have been. Come on. What our fathers have been given. Right. That's what our fathers. This is what our fathers have been given. 10. All right, 11. Yeah, I think I maybe stopped here. This sounds about right. Whoops, about right. because like I don't have enough memory for anything to like for half my shit to remember anything. Yeah, okay, that was it. Okay, we're up to speed. I'm sorry. Helping other people. We're at 11. So, oh yeah, but I was gonna respond to that like you know, fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, right? It's like what all that means is listening to the inner authority that knows right and wrong. That's the fear of God. You listen to yourself and inherently you're gonna understand it, right? You didn't like run around as a monstrous person, all of a sudden read a Bible scripture and it magically imprinted on your heart. It's just like, no, it reflects a moral truth. But it's also a cracked mirror with replaced parts that are warped. So it's a bit of a fun house. Are we having fun in the Bible? So, no, my son, I studied this art because of my love for the wisdom of Adonai, and I serve my neighbor, not out of curiosity or amusement. I have never used this art to satisfy curiosity or for unimportant or degrading things, let alone unnecessary, bad, or harmful things. Right. This is the idea of putting a level of value into the work. It'll be interesting listening to things like this and saying, have I used magic too selfishly or whatever? Right. Because I'm not walking this path that, um, you know, that is um, very optimistic that people would want to receive my magic. Right. And so I'm not being selfish. It's just that the only person that can consent to my magic is me, right? You know, a guy like him, he may be running around because he's got his Jewish faith, right? And so he's learning the magic so he can go back and be a faith healer in an ethical way, right? Being like, I was worthy of the magic touch by my conduct and what I have learned, and these are my secrets that I'm and this is the work that is the result of secrets I cannot tell you, right? Or something like that, or does he not let the profane know that it's magic and it's just that he's learned a special trick or something, right? It's a question of how much superstition about magic at a certain point was effectively just based on somebody came up with technology and we were terrified of it because we only saw something unnatural about it, right? It's just like humans don't eat eye of newt, right? It's just like that doesn't look like it's meant for human consumption. And allegedly that's a joke because apparently there are herbs that are called eye of newt in the native tongue. And so you take somebody who doesn't know botany or herbalism, and you make a silly Disney cartoon about evil witches and they're fucking putting nasty shit in a bowl. However, the Medes may have been doing this. So I always try to honor the God of our fathers and to help with my whole will and with good heart all God's creatures, animal and people, friend and enemy, young and old, relative and stranger, believers and unbelievers, one like the other, as I have shown above. Okay, so to honor the God of our fathers. So this is within the henotheistic framework in which he would be as most recognized practicing Jews of his time. And that is a kind of statement that you can redress any way for any deity you want. That is, associated with your ancestry in some way, shape, or form. Right? I think that a lot of Romans were duped into believing that they were all related to Jews. Because of the manner in which we make assumptions about Genesis as a holistic story of all the earth, or just something that happened in the Sumerian region. But because it has mythology in it, it has the beats of other mythologies. And this is because they're still operating off of the same sky clock and earthen information, right? The association to the environment and the association to the figures turning in the heavens, which is at the heart and soul of the two orders of gods that converge in your pantheons, Aesir and Vanir, so on and so forth. Because God does not show anyone his art or wisdom to keep for themselves, it is to be used to give blessings to others who need examples, to be of use and to help. So follow my example. I wrote this book for this very reason. If you do not give to others, and you will cast your own spell on yourself, and the hands that will deliver your blood will be your own. I have told you this so that I can now excuse myself in front of God and the world. So if you do not give to others, you will cast your own spell on yourself. Okay, I'm going to say that is. I wish that he would contextualize that statement more, because I don't believe he means it the way that it just comes off when you read it hard, right? Because my immediate gut instinct is that, like, all right, you just made that statement to make me feel ashamed of every time I didn't give a homeless man $1 that I needed for myself because I'm struggling too, right? And it's not always a matter of faith, right? This is just a matter of the inner authority and picking up on the situation, right? And from time to time I do, right? The inner authority, just the other day, somebody asked me for like 50 cents. I think I gave him $1. Well, I did give him $1, but I'm pretty sure he asked for 50 cents. So I gave him $1. And that was okay. Wasn't that, I was in an okay spot, uncertain, but okay, mapped out. It's like when you're giving a God, it's called a tithe, right? It's, because God's not trying to rob you. Just give me a tenth, 10%, right? Granted, you're giving it at a fucking church, right? Because, like, don't lie to yourself. It doesn't go in a basket, and then the basket gets put on an altar, and then it gets transfigured into magical energy that, like, what the fuck do you think it does if you don't think that it's just money being laundered through the fucking church, so that way the spirit of the machine trying to get its job done is operational. Okay. I look at that like wherever I learn or I'm being fed, so to speak, I will give. Right. There's the idea that, like, if you know that you have something and you've karmically picked up that, like, there's just been there's been a significant exchange that you are agreeing to, you want to agree to it. Therefore, law of Gebo, something in return. What is satisfactory to bring to Wunyo from Gebo? Right? And so if it's not money for reading, it's just like, I swept your floor so you could go pick up my groceries, something like that. Right? I think we all get that. If you want to be a bee and collect honey, you will find a surplus with me. But if you want to be a troublesome spider, you can find poison even in a rock. God does not give or tell his blessings to make evil, even if it seems that some chapters are harmful and bad rather than of use to your neighbors. Realize that both good and bad can be done with this art, so be very careful to avoid the bad and do the good. The faithful angels will help you until your last day if you do good. If you do bad, the angels will leave you and you will stay in the claws of the wily enemy from whom it will be hard to escape. My son, keep the holy laws of God before your eyes. They should reflect your situation and your life. Through the first tablet, God showed us the holy secret in the Kabbalah. With the other tablet, he gave us the holy wisdom and magic that is in these writings. So practice and do the following things. Make them into an unbreakable guideline. As soon as you see that a person is using any kind of magical art for bad ends, evil, or damaging things, flee from him and his doings. Such a person is no mage, but a devil's magician, as described in the Torah, and especially the 5th book of Moses, where such people are definitely condemned by God. Okay. Well, but like, when do you want to talk about like? So where's this magic that you're doing in the Bible then, right? Because yes, the Bible has these examples. Everybody hates Christianity because there's been in the Bible because of a very poor job talking about all of the context, right? You know, my mind began to flip with my odd esoteric understanding of history, looking at the mythology or perhaps true esoteric history of a time of giants, and that all of these Canaanites are actually descendants of Cain. So it's mythology, but wait, we also know that giants were real in the Younger Dryas and prior, and even afterwards. And so you're just like, okay, they literally did that to giants, but these giants were not like people. Or it's just mythology and it just represents people of a monstrous nature. Either way, these giants are something that are a spirit of the dead nowadays that gets emulated. Right? And there's a lot of interesting things to be said about it. It's part of the reason why people will never forget the Clinton emails and the remains of Gilgamesh, right? So, what kind of animist thing with Gilgamesh is going on? Who's got their hands on that? The Turks? The Romans? Who? Anyway. When a person wants an operation, not for him. So my point is, where is the white magic in the Bible that isn't just what the prophets are doing? Because the prophets and the heroes do stuff, but nothing is considered magic. All of it is considered basically by faith. You did the heroic thing or the whatever, and your due diligence was rewarded by a blessing from God that that protected you, made the thing happen. The person intended survived, or you're able to conjure up the whatnot. Like, these are the things, right? Elisha fucking summons 2 she-bears to maul children to death because they threw, I think they threw a couple of petty stones at him and like mocked him for being ugly and bald. I mean, come on, man. That's a kids these days move, right? You would have to extrapolate on that to make him not seem like the monk, because that's all it says. Like, the kids were not going to fucking destroy him or whatever. Like, that's not what it said, right? You would have to, and it didn't reference other than where the kids came from, right? So you have to look into the history. It's like, oh, there's this animosity there, right? But yet still, okay, so there's some animosity. So children just, like, in reality, you're going to have people, those kids had parents. And, if this was a time of peace, you just did a provocative act of war. Or something like that, right? I don't even know. I don't remember the details of the story off the top of my head. But my point is that in the personal moment, it was morally wrong. It was, like, not necessary. You couldn't have had the she-bears just scare them. They're big-ass fucking she-bears. Just the fuck. You're like, they'll book it if they're just fucking kids throwing petty stones at you. They get the fear of God. They get some wisdom out of that. Let's see. When a person wants an operation not for himself, but for a child or a relative who does not deserve a treasure, then the person who requests the operation becomes responsible for great misery. He loses the mercy and wisdom of Adonai, and also his heirs will lose this forever. Avoid the business and company of people who, in search for this wisdom, do and say things that led to the bad. Such people can become the devil's magicians. Here, I have to warn fully and even exaggerate, because once an operation has been done correctly, it cannot be undone. That is certain. Take into consideration the story of Bilyam and see how he was strangled by the angel of Adonai just because he rode with people who wanted to use his art for evil and against people. Okay, that makes sense to me. That like, we have seen those kinds of consequences all the time, right? That's called karmic. It's karmic backlash, right? Thomas Sheridan talks about this with curse magic. Curse magic has manifested all over the place, and you're mostly looking at backlash because of people that hook, line, and sinkered into various lies that built an ontological fantasy world that got them into doing legitimate curses, great public displays of intent of harm through intention or through magical intention. And all of them are now non-entities in the game, right? Their lives are not well. Most of them bottomed out before the pandemic or through the pandemic. And you will notice that all of that culture has faded away, right? And for those that weren't genuine seekers, they just went back to their religions. But you know, and a lot of people talk about this with all these witches and stuff that are New Agers going back to, you know, typically Christianity and things like that. You know what? It's I think it's healthy if they can also accept that perhaps they have something to offer as a Christian mystic. Right? And I really think that Christians need to truly, and with all authenticity, listen to those of us telling you the real history of the story of the name Lucifer to its Promethean origins. And I was listening to Library of the Untold tonight. Shout out Joe Phipps, Library of the Untold. He was sharing his feelings about Jason Giorgiani, and although I agree with the feelings, but I still like him, right? And you know, that's because like I'm a pagan that has the Christos principle is alive in me. I think when I was a Catholic, it was because I couldn't feel the Christos principle behind everything that I now know was some dark and perverted fucking iconography. Even when it's sanitized, because you know, this just gets into the whole transfiguration, the intentions of what was done with the focus of Christ and his sacrifice and whatnot, and to run around with the crucifix all over the place. And you know, it's just like, if I see a person with a crucifix, it feels just very low consciousness to me, right? I think I actually maybe respect somebody who does the Christ fish, the piscus. I think I might actually, feel better about that symbol. Even if you're talking about something that is alluding to Dagon, which is the joke, right? Anyway, this happens even though he planned to use his art only in a way suggested by God. Now think of the strength of God. What will happen to people who plan consciously, maliciously to sin and use this art for evil? Yes, right, exactly. Okay. Let's take a break because I'm going to keep things simple. And hold on a second. All right. I'm going to keep things simple and share audio on this one. We're going to go back to here and we're going to just run the album tonight. So, Beneath These Waves.
So, crazy weather, right?
Hush.
Froze.
All right. This was remastered in 2019. He didn't make this in 2019. It's a little bit older, I guess. Anyway. Okay. All right, let's jump back in. On the other hand, if after an exact examination and investigation a person is tranquil and honest, you must help them to come to the wisdom, because God who helped you wants you also to help them. This is why he made you his assistant and gave the holy wisdom to your hand. He trusted you to teach it in his place. Like, most people on these paths, they're going to humble themselves, and they're going to call their inner authority, God, because they're faithful. Like, just know that for, as far as with anybody, God is just this egregore that is this existential, throw it over there so I can lie that it's about my inner authority. This is why I'm worried about the Crusaders that have popped up with their Deus Vult thing, right? I'm sure these are very good men, but a very good man can be in a very delusional place, right? But I also don't think that they're wrong in all of their targets, because we definitely have, I think, objectively bad people that they should put under attack. That if I saw people of this nature that I have seen and told were true, if I confirmably saw that happening in front of me, I would indeed join in battle. Right? This is the idea here, right? Because this can also beg the question, are you sure that God wants you to put the effort to win this war in? Is this a war that God has condoned because it fits under what your inner authority is picking up as what's just the right thing to do? Right? So, we terrify ourselves, and we don't want to turn into narcissists, right? And you want to prove it to yourself, and so you beat yourself up, and you go through all the rites and all the self-degrading and shaming of yourself, and bowing your head, and always whatever, being anal retentive about like half of your temptated urges, right? Because this is what I wrestle with, right? This book is telling me that Abramelin, through his Jewish understanding of reality under the Jewish faith, is having, he's doing this thing, right? He's found the way that God said, here is magic that is not of sin, right? That's the idea. Here is magic that is not of sin. And this, he's writing this, it's his Jewish vernacular, but the rhetoric's very secular. And it's been very secular ever since he said, oh, and I found a pagan and a non-believer. All right, that's secular to me. Let's keep going. I believe in secularism for every nation, because I know that every nation is going to be that way. Listen, the Jewish state, that's just like, that's a racial thing, not a religious thing. And you can't condemn everybody of Jewish blood just because the benefactors of the conspiracy that they're fuck all aware of is like they fucking hide it from their own, you idiots. they're being fucking scapegoated. And I'm not trying to insult them, right? But I'm pretty sure a lot of them are just either not too smart, or they're not very comfortable on that level of ontological fucking deconstruction, right? And I think it just drives us nuts because something, they're more the devil's chosen people than God's, right? Which then gets into the theories that the reason why the Bible is paltered is so that the devil could get in between you and the word of God by getting you to believe that the literalism in the text is divinely inspired instead of trusting your inner fucking authority when you're reading the Bible and seeing past the bullshit. And it's much easier to do and much easier to convey once you have freed yourself of the fear that seeing everything else in the world for what it is will bring you back to understanding this book better and understanding the God that they promised you were looking for better, and having that better relationship with God, which gets into the principles of, okay, who's the monotheistic thing, right? And like I said, it's all these different layers of language that we're either comfortable with or we don't want to freak people out, so we use that or whatever, right? So we say God, right? Which was a word that throughout all antiquity was for a pluralistic term from the Gotland region for deities. And it was never in reference to the supreme being, which was also an acknowledged nameless thing, which has a precedent of eternity before even the gods. Odin has a grandfather, and Odin's grandfather came from before the last Fimbulvitr, Buri, from, he's the crossover from the last cycle of his line. And I think it's implied in the Eddas that the forefathers, I think all the grandfathers of all the gods in the pantheon came about this way. Because I think it makes more sense that the creator would have had it established, like the gods to their tribes, that, okay, you 9 tribes are families. You are 9 families, you are 9 gods, and these progenitor shaman witch kings of the greater bloodline bestowed, because we're going back to the plan of Udinma, right? And then this is where the rabbis come in at, as far as that title itself, right? And so that's why the rabbis exist, to facilitate that, which then turns into the priests or any of your other religious authorities, right? But the role was much different back then. Okay. On the other hand, if after exact examination, investigation, a person is tranquil and honest. I'm sorry. Yeah, I read that already. This is why he made you his assistant, gave the holy wisdom to your hand. He trusted you to teach it in his place. And yes, that's about being very responsible with magic and remembering he's pretty much talking in the language of natural law. I'd imagine Mark Passio has read this. I bet he would agree. Right? If you can deconstruct it, kind of get the specificities of what's going to be not exactly sounding right coming from the henotheistic language, which is fine. All right. Do not let your own body or bad company lead you astray or harm your neighbor for the sake of love. On the other hand, seek freedom in friendship, and in freedom, expect its continuation. Yeah. I'm much better with bad company leading me astray than with my own body. The lonely heart, and perhaps a mix of natural temptations of lust can kick in and get me in the worst the worst kind of harmless trouble, if you will. The worst kind of harmless trouble. The kind that you scared people because you missed a social cue and you forgot a thing or two because you're kind of still struggling with certain things, on top of knowing that things in the backdrop aren't 100% right. And then the doubt makes you fucking go sideways with what you're thinking about. And all of a sudden, nothing that comes from how fucking perfect you are and all the other things you're doing matter anymore, because you've imagined to terminate your reputation and thus your charisma, at least in this place, because you broke trust. That's a hard thing to carry on the heart, right? And so I do my own kinds of penance, but this is because I've failed myself, right? Attempt to reduce evil and increase good. If you follow this path, you will have God, angels, and people as friends, while the devil and bad spirits will remain prisoners and lowly servants. You see, if I can figure out how I can just be me, and I'm just talking about me with a shirt on, because I'm talking about real life. It's with the internet, it's like whatever. I'm already talking about things that make me assume shadow banning, and I don't really believe that they're shadow banning me. I just think that this is what the algorithm can do with the little that I do to boost the channel, which just has a lot to do with my general frustrations over everything and feeling like my energy investment is better set on things that are in the real world. It's just like, oh, I could sit here and figure out how to do this thing on the computer, or I could get in 100 push-ups. It's sometimes it's just like that, and I just want to get 100 push-ups done. With good conscience, you can live and end your life with honor, peace, and happiness with your family and all religious people. Please keep this book as a reverent treasure. Don't tip it to the pigs like empty husks. I present this treasure to you. Keep it for yourself. Share parts of it with whoever you can. Do this and it will grow richer for you. Right, so this is where this book in the backdrop, and you've got a reference point that you remember, a passage of wisdom that that's stuck internally in your head, that your inner authority reminds you, like, this applies to this situation. Perhaps this person is not of a profane ear, right? So it all depends. Like if you listen to my drive stream about my my other job that I was doing in New Haven, where I was in the place with the that was basically a temple of the muses in the Yale New Haven system, with old Jewish money involved in all of that. There was one guy who had a slew of questions, right? I don't know if he's a seeker. He just happened to be a little curious, and I didn't find a fluid moment for the rest of the 1 day gig that it was to bring up to bring anything up, because I would have needed to. I would need to figure out a thing or two about him first, and I'm too busy thinking about the work that I'm doing to think of the question I would ask him. And you know, he probably needs to work on his education too, to be honest. You know, he's definitely among the profane. Seems like a kind enough guy, but who knows? Everybody has a different nature when they're drinking. In this land, we are captured and dishonored, servants to serve your lords as much and as well as you can, but keep this treasure a secret so that your children and not the godless will be the owners of these riches. Chapter 12, be careful about these two things. This first book should not have become so long, but fatherly concern and the importance of the matter, also the foolishness of your adolescence, has made this book so long. I should have written more, but I am confident that in these 4 books, I have covered everything that can happen. The first book, even if it seems unnecessary, has in every line my carefully considered teachings and advice. This is important. With parental concern, I remind you not to start the work until after you have spent half a year in the daily study of this book. You must read through the first and the third parts and consider and weigh every word. If you do this, I am sure that no problem will occur that you cannot, by yourself. Hold on a second. There we go. That you cannot by yourself destroy. And I am sure that from day to day you will awaken more with laughter and pleasure in yourself. So for all my struggles that I talk about, this is more actually my reality, which is why I'm usually in a good mood, right? There's very few circumstances where I stream in a bad mood. I would have, unless I really need to therapeutic it out. Otherwise, nothing rocks my mood. If I'm yelling at somebody who said some stupid shit, I'm not actually angry. I'm just having fun tearing them apart. That's all that is, right? I can't stand people that go live and let every fucking troll just turn into an excuse for them to fucking bloviate narcissistically about how stupid they are. Right? It's like, I come up with an authoritative statement against what they said. I block them and I move on. Even if I swerve in the lane a little bit and you hear me running over the curb, or not the curb, it's not really the curb. It was um, the grooves. It's it's the grooves for the pullover lane. Anyway, and I got those results by sticking to the disciplines that I got from guidance in the Temple of the White Dragon. Seth Gisbo's Temple of the White Dragon. Hold on a second. I gotta see something real quick because it irritates me that I never say its name in Old Norse. I just want to take a quick look. Where is it? Where did he send it? There it is. Yeah, Komendra Horgraf Witas Ormir. Komendera Horgaf Witas Ormir, which means Temple of the White Dragon in Old Norse. 8 years been doing this, and I'm just a neophyte. It's taken me a long time. Half the reason why I'm busting my ass so hard is because I want the Ulfidnar training. I want level 2. I'm committed. I love listening to Sethkis's work, and I love having correspondence with him on social media and just having access to sessions in general, right? Because, I can't afford to be a fucking Ulfidnar, but I can afford to buy an hour or two of his time. But anyway, I don't have to pay for my time to talk to him on social media. And for that, I'm grateful that he can text quickly like that. And it's the only way he can hold any real relationships with anybody, right? Anybody on the professional level on the internet. All right. There are other arts connected to the holy secrets. In addition to this one, there also need the holy secrets to be taught. I shall talk about these later. The holy secrets I call the Kabbalah. The holy wisdom I call the magic. Surely you will discover all imaginable effects by yourself if you do not behave like an arrogant fool. All right, I like his attitude. All right. Let's see. It's 10:24. This is a good time to switch it up. Let's see. I want to. Does it let me switch it? No, it doesn't. All right. Share screen. There we go. All right, we're back here again. We're going to go on the Terror Train. This is a little bit shorter song. All right, I want to answer your God, man. Who allowed those riffs to be so fucking sick? All right. It's a great album. Here we are. To give you a good beginning to the godly wisdom and arts, I am giving you the next book. In the second book, there is a considerable collection of the effects that I have discovered from the holy secrets. Excuse me. In it are mixed other arts which I have tried and found effective. I leave these for you, but pay attention to two things. Only use or wish to use any of the arts in the second book when there is the greatest need. Remind yourself that on the first tablet of the law of the Holy Kabbalah, the very first commandment is not to use the name of Adonai for unnecessary things that can be ignored or forgotten. And this is what you would be doing if you used one of the pieces without a real need. This is why we have spirit guides and other such things. And why also for them angels exist. You know, it's just like every pagan sees a crow or a raven and it was like, oh, all father, how you doing, buddy? Right? This is like, it's just what pagans do. It's just like, it's a black bird. Hi, Dad. Anyway, let's see. In place would be doing pieces you real need. If you were to do this, the Kabbalah would work against you, and the work would produce no results, and you would also lose God's mercy. So when you next have troubles, he will not help you again. Secondly, every woman and man, every belief and practice can achieve the results of the pieces on themselves and others if for 7 full moons, 7 has a special mystical strength in the Kabbalah. They have no doings against the second tablet of the law, which belongs to the godly wisdom or magic. With murder, burglary, and adultery, people who know are guilty should not do anything, or evil will come to them. This I say with great weight, so that open shame and public scorn do not occur to harm the secret, the wisdom, and the honor of God. So I want to end and close the first book with praise to the high and mighty name Adonai, the same who shines his light over us and allows us his freedom. Amen. And, like I wouldn't use this kind of, phrasing and all that stuff. Right. But, I feel the good spirit that is intended in it. Let's see. What does that say? Is that Magi Abra? Magla Abra Ham? Is that Abramelon? Anyway, underneath you in Kabbalah, this suffering in Lamech. I can't read this. I'm not even sure. I don't know if that's supposed to be English. It's a cursive. I see Lamech. I understand Lamech. That says Magia. So that says Magia. Magia Abra Hamai. But Abra, and it's Abraham, but it's not Abraham because because he would have he just would have put Abraham on the bottom. Ham is a different word. So there's Kabbalah, there's Lamech, Rabbi. There's a rabbi over here. Anyway, title page in the Dresden Library. This MS is an easy to read and attract. Yeah, you're funny. You're funny. That's an easy to read. It is incomplete and may well be a copy of MS2. The monogram is an important clue as who commissioned the transcription. Book 2. The other book of Abraham the Jew. This considers holy things that I, Abraham, have learned in addition to what was taught by Abramelin. The material comes from the 5 books of Moses and other holy books and things that I have found out for myself, and with and without the use of the Kabbalah, I have tried and used everything in this book. Chapter 1. For serious diseases. 1. Against plague. When there is a serious plague in the land, in the morning before sunrise, collect 7 kinds of wood from 7 different parts of the land. Bring them together into the center of the land. Write the words Adonai Zabaoth, have mercy on us. On pure wax. See, here we go. Now we're actually getting into ritual components. Look at that. We're doing things now. We're talking about stuff. This is exciting. Let me go back and break this down. Okay. So when there's a serious plague. All right. Diagnosis. You got plague, baby, in the land in the morning before sunrise. Collect 7 kinds of wood from 7 different parts of the land. Bring them together into the center of the land. Did anybody do this in 2020? Just asking. Asking for a friend or 6 million. Write the words Adonai Zabaoth, have mercy on us. All right. Okay. On pure wax, sprinkle incense powder over the wax plaque to totally cover the wax. Lay this on top of the wood and under an open sky, burn it to ash. Leave it untouched until after sunset. Then take it and throw it towards the 7 places from which the wood came, saying continuously, Adonai, we have sinned, and your hand is too heavy, but it is better to fall in the hand of Adonai, because his grace is very powerful. I have sinned greatly in that I have done. Let us fall now into the land of the Lord, for his mercies are great. 2 Samuel 24:10-14. All right, so I don't like the prayer at all. Adonai, we have sinned, and your hand is too heavy. So, I mean, like, look, if you personally actually feel like you need to, like, be collectively in all of that, and like, or you were collectively there, right? Like, I think because I think the last time I was ever duped by anything was basic assumptions of what was obviously the sketchiness of 9/11, and at the very least the question of how fucking all international flight security protocols that every American imagined is how America fucking protected itself from every Top Gun Iron Eagle style movie they ever fucking saw, and was assured by military brass people that love those movies, like, yeah, that's how fucking good we are at what we fucking do and how we fucking do it. We are an iron dome of intelligence. We know everything in the most constitutional ways you couldn't fucking imagine, right? What a joke. What a fucking joke. I mean, I think it was like that. We have plenty of stories. We know that it actually was like that. But it was all to serve the Cold War. And so it was just kind of this game from this unreality of, like, why the fuck are we fighting each other just because those guys have different economic standards? Right? And that's the problem. It's that, they forced some people to be communist, and so we go to war with them. right? So we kind of understand that's kind of bad. Don't force people to do that. And then you hear these stories that, well, you see, the capitalists were monsters, you see. So they were actually liberators. And then you look into it and it's just like, oh, no, these were just people making money. Oh, you're a fucking communist. You're not sympathizing for the side that was the victims. You're a communist. You favor the communism. You think on principle people were being exploited this way. All they do in communism is they continue to exploit the poor and they cover it up in the press. And they make sure they put a good showing for the fucking camera of how allegedly everybody lives in this exact same modest apartment of comfort. And never mind you about all the suicides at the American company's manufacturing plant in our country. All right, enough of that. Okay. What I would do is that you need to, like, so if I were to put myself in back into aspects of the pandemic. Okay, you know what? I did the egg ritual along with everybody else in the Fortean culture movement with Thomas Sheridan. Shout out Thomas Sheridan, right? So I dropped 2 in my ritual. I had double intentions. And so I don't remember what I said then. But, it was just a plea that was just put out there unto the Jin region, which, this book uses Adonai. I'm using the Jin region, which is my interpretation of what is known in Komendra Horgaf Witaz Ormir as the higher force, which is the Hermetic principle of the all, the Vedic principle of the Brahman, and other overarching super intelligences, super authorities above the entire play of all that has ever happened. Because that's what those things represent in the mythos. It's like, here's the overarching conscious space, right? And that's what the Jin region is. It is the entity that makes up the canvas by which the painting of existence manifests. All right, that's a fun way to say it. So anyway, and yeah, I mean, you're being reflective on yourself, right? Because, like, if I'm not experiencing the plague, but you are, right? There's no we in my doing this magic for you, right? If I come from out of town and had nothing to do with how you ran the affairs to bring the plague to you, right? I'm just here because you're my fellow man who I love under, that I love under will. Amor supra volt. And I have come to you to bestow a state of healing. Right? That's the situation. That's the intentions. And then it's just a question of, can you accept the healing? Right? He'll probably say something about things like that when we get to something that's more of probably a healing, whatever, or a demon exorcism or whatever. Well, that'll be fun when we get to exorcists, right? So also, I would do not 7, but 8 pieces of wood. Right, one from all of the major directions. Each of those major directions correspondent with an aspect of the universal worlds. In Norse mythology, we have our 9 realms. There are other aspects of 9 realms. That's why you do 8, because you're already standing in the 9th realm. And the convergence point is the whole bit. And you gathered all this wood from in this realm anyway. Right? Two, for cancer and other open injuries, take a very clean glass, consecrate it with incense before sunrise, 7 times in 7 different directions, with honey right on the glass, and then take good ordinary healing ointment, and using it, wipe away the writing and remix the ointment. Besmoke the glass continually in the usual way. You will see the word of God will improve your health at least half the time. The words, Adonai makes accidents and bandages, he destroys, and his hands heals. All right. I would do something like call on the Valkyrie Eru for a job like this, right? Like cancer and other open injuries. So here's a magic spell that might work for cancer if you are, meeting some baseline fucking requirements for God's mercy, right? Baseline like secular morality requirements, right? A lot of people are just so bitter about the history of the church that, they don't want moral authority to come from any Christians. And that's part of the real issue with the profane masses' blind hatred of Republicans, because they are the party of the Christians and the Jews in America. And then the Democrats are the party of the atheists and Islam and Satanists. Isn't that funny? And some pagans, not too many pagans want to get involved with politics. It's kind of hard to be pagan in politics. It takes you too much away from the world of tranquility. You're too busy every single day serving your fucking country, and you may find yourself trapped needing to run for election again and again and again, or something like that, right? Instead of just doing a one term in and out. Because a lot of people are looking for, something as basic as a congressman that's only going to last, they don't want them to just last 2 years. They'd like to have someone they can keep, right? So you do a good job, you can become a long-standing incumbent, Jim Himes has been running my backyard for a while now. I met with him on weed legalization once. This was fucking 2010, and he'd already been in the fucking Congress for a decent bit before that. Anyway. Three, to reduce all kinds of diseases. At all meals, write with honey or butter onto bread if the patient is eating, and on the glass with the patient uses to drink, the words below, besmoke the glass after each meal. Do this for 7 days and you will see a reduction of the disease. All right. I mean, maybe do 9 days. I mean, if it works by the seventh day, you wouldn't need the 9 days, right? If you don't get the results on day 7, go 2 more days. And because probably more pagans and other kinds of occultists are going to listen to me than certain others, there's a very good chance that we may need 9 days just based on how we're already wired. Thus speaks Adonai, I want again to search for the lost and bring back the erring and bandage the wounded and wait for the weak. What is solid and strong, I will watch and care for properly. I will seek that which was lost and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken and will strengthen that which was sick. Ezekiel 34:16. All right. So, all right, this is where I depart, because this involves, bringing people back into your thing, right? So this is an inflection of bringing people back to temple, right? This works well for anybody who's going to be an Abrahamic mystic, Jew, Christian, or Muslim. I think if you're going to be a Muslim and do it, you probably want to be not in Islam. Yeah. So 4, a general blessing for all sickness and occasions. It's 10:50. I think that means it's been about another half an hour, hasn't it? All right, I think we're doing good. No, let's see. We've been live for 90 minutes. And we've gone through 3 songs, right? Intro, first break. So that'd be 30 minutes. Then an hour for that. That was Terror Train. And Seize the Day. Yeah. We are due for a break. Okay, we're due for a break. This is a good place to pause because we're in between chapters. All right. Go. So we're going to play Seize the Day.
Congrats on the new boat, Amy.
And on bunch.
Come on.
If only young me.
Hey, okay. We're doing good. We're doing good. So my question is, do I go 2 hours and 15 minutes, or do I go closer to 3 hours to 3 hours and 15 minutes? That's the question I'm asking myself. So let's keep going. I'm enjoying everything that I'm doing tonight. What page are we on at this point? 82. All right. Oops, let's move this thing and put this back on. The book. Kaboom. General blessing for all sicknesses and occasions. Excuse me. He who wears the following words written on gold or silver or pure wax. I wonder what constitutes pure wax. On his bare body all day long on the Sabbath is secure from sickness, sorceries, and other evil if he does not violate the commandments of God. Adonai reign and watch over you. Adonai let his face shine on you. He blesses you and gives you his grace. Adonai looks with his face upon you and grants you peace. All right, so what I think we're doing here is, I think this is tapping into a benevolent Saturnian rite. You adhere to the weekly 7 cycle for these things. And you do ritual on Saturn's day. And because you're adhering to this ritual of with, these are gold, silver, and pure wax. So, gold and silver, we all understand the principle of those precious metals in magic and esoterica. That's such 101 stuff at this point. Pure wax, I'd imagine, must be the same principle. Maybe pure wax is like unless you melt it, it doesn't go away or something, right? So, because you are reinforcing on a weekly basis a certain thing, it does this for you, right? I have daily ritual that this is kind of baked into this. I do my 3 things a day, every single day, and I've been doing it every single fucking day for the last 5 fucking years. Evolving over time, becoming part of how I understand how to do all manners of magic as I explore each angle of the circle. What happens with certain runic energies when I move them east to west, north to southeast, so on and so forth. So, Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Numbers 6:24 and through 26. 5. For all sorts of sick days and diseases, take 7 clean glass bowls, and before sunrise write with honey the following words. I shall not die, but live and proclaim works of Adonai. I shall not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord. Psalms 118 through 118:17. Also, take 7 small breads or biscuits. Eat each with 7 bites. Write on them too. Always put 1 bread in a bowl. Besmoke it and say, thanks Adonai, because he is friendly and his mercy is eternal, because he Adonai raises you to health, but does not give you death. I would probably more say grace than mercy, right? Mercy gets into the whole your failures as a person personally offend me and I have a right to beat you or something, right? That's not what this is. Grace is saying, I will eternally hold space for you to beat yourself up. You know who has grace? Hell. Lady Hell. Helheim. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, because his mercy endureth forever. The Lord hath chastened me sore, but he hath not given me over unto death. Psalms 118:1 and 18. I firmly believe, because of kind of the limits of things, I think hell lives in a very interesting position. Right? She exists to deal with the dead. That's her thing. She's a custodian of the dead. And before Ragnarok, there was no custodian of the dead because there was a very, very, very simple reincarnation process. This going back to the Box Saga, right? Things got more interesting as human beings began to split in their cosmological ontologies and got hooked into the systems from the entities that were invocated from the other side by those who created the world wound and disguised it as a Stargate. One of the Stargates in the Keylontic Sciences is Stargate 10. These are things that I have to understand these things a little bit better, but Stargate 10 is actually the world wound. This is understood in Komendra Horgaf Witaz Ormir, and is and from what I've been told to judge for myself is that it is more accurate to the correspondences of Howard Dean, right? Okay, keep the bread and glass bowls clean so no dust can fall on them, and each day give the sick person a bowl to drink from and bread to eat. Every day it should be his first food. Do not leave out other foods and medicines. For dangerous occurrences in secret places, take a 7-sided sheet of copper and before sunrise prick into it. Send again the Ark of the God of Israel to the right place so that he does not destroy us. Besmoke it for 7 days, and after every incensing, wash the copper with running water in which you have measured camphor and salt. Camphor? Is that a typo? With this water, wash the secret place and say, Holy Adonai, protect us from the plague of Dagon and the damage of Gath, because God's hand lays heavily on us. Interesting. Specifically Dagon. So you're addressing Dagon by or a curse of Dagon by 7-sided sheet of copper. A 7-sided sheet of copper. Okay. Right. Okay. Before sunrise, prick into it. Send again the Ark of the God of Israel to the right place so that he does not destroy us. Okay. All right. Yes. So, yeah, that would be something I would phrase along the lines of bestow divine protection and reinforcement unto the target of thine enemy's destruction. Yeah, something along those lines, depending on what all the context of the situation is. Be smoking for 7 days, and after every incensing, wash the copper with running water in which you have measured camphor and so. Okay, so I'm gonna look that up real fast. I want to know what camphor is. I don't know what it is. Is it like sulfur? Because it's got the FUR going on. Camphor. It's a waxy, flammable, transparent solid with a distinct penetrating aromatic odor. Oh, okay. So it's a scented candle situation. So salt and scented candle. It's an herb for sinus relief. You don't say intergalactic boo. I think I need this just because I deal with enough dust and, of course, a lovely purple haze to warrant it. I get a lot of stuffed up nasal cavity nonsense. It can be very frustrating if I don't fucking set up my fucking breathing right before I go into meditation, especially if I want to do any fucking windhoffing, which I owe myself a windhoffing meditation in the near future. I haven't done one in a while. Seven, for heartache and depression. Before sunup, write with honey in a glass bowl. Besmoke it. Tip mead or strong wine over it. Sprinkle over it some smoke, incense in the sign of Mars, and give as a drink in the evening. Do this for 7 days. The words. I love that he threw the astrology in there. There we go. You know. All right. Awesome. And it's in Mars too. So that also perks me up as one of my ruling planets. See 1 Samuel 5. The Philistines took the Ark of the Covenant and placed it in the house of Dagon, a pagan god, as a sign that it was wrong, and God gave them the emeralds. Seem to refer whatever the elements of the camphor. Okay, right. Okay, so that's right. So that's all associated with that Samuel story that everybody fucking knows. There's a couple of movies about it. Okay, so the eyes of Adonai see you, so it is in life. He makes for a contented heart and a happy face. He protects from sickness, problems, and unhappiness. Which, by the way, you got to tell me, how does Dagon get so... He's a fish god, right? He's a god for fishermen. All right, fair. All right, cool. There you go. You're a fisherman god. You know, it's just like, how did we get here, though, with him, like, being a monster? Right? You know, I mean, obviously it's because the Babylonians practiced various forms of profane blood sacrifices, right? You know, Jews go through a whole fucking thing to slit a fucking animal's throat. Okay? It's a throat slitting. And all this stuff, right? What Jews think you're permitted to do on industrial scale, I don't know. This is part and parcel of why I watched Branded from 2012 with Jules over on Occult Cinema, right? Because of the sacrifice of the red heifer ritual is part of this whole thing, right? And you know, and it's the Russian, there's a pagan heart to it with the cow goddess in the fucking sky, right? It's all the, like, it was all very fucking cool. I wouldn't have considered myself a pagan in 2012 because I didn't know if I liked the definition of pagan. And I wasn't there yet with learning much paganism. Paganism didn't really kick in till maybe 2015, 2016. I'm pretty sure it was that period of time. Because it was pretty sure it was before. No, it was after. It was after Trump that I came across Sethicus. I'm pretty sure it was after Trump. Anyway, the eyes of Adonai see you. So it is in life he makes for a contented heart and a happy face. He protects from sickness, problems, and unhappiness. I would say don't avoid those things. Work through them. Move through them. It is good to be unhappy if that is what is fucking appropriate. What is not good is to be unhappy when that time has passed. Right? And trauma, some trauma is extraordinarily justifiable because of things like injustice. But stuff that was up, like there's, like, do we want to call stupid shit that offends people and they go into a nervous breakdown minor trauma because of their performance, because it's performative? I don't know. 8. For impaired ears and eyes, besmoke a clear sheet of tin or copper and write on it the words below. They must be written in mother's milk from a woman who gave birth to a son 7 days before. Well, I guess if you've got impaired ears and eyes, you've got the patience to wait for this. From a woman who gave birth to a son 7 days before. Allow the milk to dry, then wipe it off with almond oil. Smear it onto the eyelids or drop it into the buzzing ear. Do this ointment for 7 consecutive days. This sounds like some of the, it sounds very Talmudic where this one comes from. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it sounds like that one in particular. And of course, here's an accompanying proverb in reference to it. An ear that hears and an eye that sees were both made by Adonai. Chapter 2 about antagonisms and war. It's 11:18. All right. This time is flying real fast. So where are we here? Yep, a little over the 2-hour mark. That's perfect. Good. All right. So, all right. This has got the video. All right. This is the music video, isn't it? Can I get it without the music video? All right. Hopefully they don't flag the music video. So we're going to get a music video. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Fair use. I have the fair use label. The fair use label better be there because I plugged it in over here on StreamYards. Fair use. This The Gunslinger by Demons and Visits. Okay, there we go. Okay, that was good. That was cool. Good stuff. Whoops. Share screen. All right. moving right along. Chapter 2 about antagonisms in war. So that your friend can conquer his enemy. So that your friend can all right. We're getting into some military magic. That, you know, so let's talk about what it means for God to. Yo, Hegseth, are you fucking taking notes, you bitch? You motherfucking anti-heathen bitch. Take some fucking notes. You're welcome, bitch. Early on the day of the battle, make a bread from a little unleavened dough. Write on it with honey the name Gideon. Speak over it 7 times. Judges 6 or 8. Gideon fought the cult of Baal and the ruling Midianites and was a judge for 40. Okay, so you're choosing your champion, right? So, you know, like, I might want to pick Thor for the Shahid, or Vali or Vidar are excellent fucking choices. You know, they're revenge gods, so on and so forth. Perhaps a particular Valkyrie is going to be in question, right? Find when you know, right? This is about identifying the myth, right? He's got, you know, the Bible as his holy book is often is also his living myth reference, and thus works with the spellcraft, right? Does this work in an application to history? If you I think that there's at least the sympathetic magic to opening up a history book and evoking, say, George Washington's strategy over here, this, that, or the other things. Remember the contract with your servant and let my friend such and such go with your might so that he can rescue his life from his enemy. Yeah, I kind of like that. Remember the contract with your servant and let my friend. Yeah. I don't like the word servant. This is, because of the indicativeness of the idea of the Yahweh relationship, right? Yahweh is just a pagan god, and you may be serving them in ritual, but ultimately, like, as long as you're living like your true will within those divine laws, right? I always evoke the Jin region because that is the authority that the gods pull from. Then by that merit, you're not a servant to the gods, and nor do the gods serve you. Other than in the sense of sometimes something happens, right? I've told my story of kind of a feeling in my mind's eye of Odin popping up while I was doing a carpentry job. There wasn't too much to it, but but it was part of my early time getting construction jobs. Like we're talking about like year 1 construction worker. I'm like year 3 now. No, or am I more year 2? It feels like it. Anyway. Excuse me. Forgive me, I got hung up on what year all that stuff was going on. And why the hell was I bringing that up anyway? Anyway, let's just get back on with this. I lost track of the whole goddamn thing. Saying nothing, carry the bread to your friend when you see him, say 3 times. Adonai is with you, you true hero. Adonai blesses you. All right, okay, yeah, you find your own thing, like, you say your own thing where you're it's the way you think of words to say. Like, we don't think of it as part of sympathetic magic, right? But your carefully chosen words when you're saying hello to somebody that you anticipated to greet, or anticipated saying goodbye, and the most thoughtful of words about either their past, because they're coming to meet you, so everything, so there's so they'll tell you how their future is going to look by the time they get there, to have their past catch up with you. And then, those words will get put together. And then there's the thoughtfulness of the bread, which is a gifting. It's the animated element carrying the energy of the spell with the prayer, if you will. The attestation. Yeah. Then ask your friend to eat all of the bread. So, make it a modest portion. Remember, he's going to war. You don't want him to be too fat. I mean, it's bread. It's got carbs. He's going to war. I mean, he's probably going to need some carbs for war. He's going to burn the cow. You know what? He'll appreciate being fattened up, but he's got to have an appetite for it all in one fucking sitting. Otherwise, it's like the devil's sandwich in Aqua Teen Hunger Force. To conquer your enemy in a battle, with almond oil, write the prayer on the top of your crest or flag, then wash it away with running water and sprinkle it over your whole army. Then attack with trust in the name of Adonai, your God. You should not be unsuccessful. The prayer. When Adonai sharpens his sword and stretches out his hand to punish, he will take revenge against his enemies and will repay his clan. He will soak his arrows in blood and give our swords flesh to eat. Plus the blood. This is pagan as all fuck. I mean, like, I can. This is like every fucking like Viking oorah fucking thing you've heard, right? Flesh to eat. Like, give your sword flesh to fucking eat. I mean, yo, right? Okay, it's just like, do we have God's bestowment to fucking lay waste to radical militant 12er Islamists, right? The idea by many, myself included, honestly, is that some of them are that horrible and that this works. Maybe he learned this from one of the fucking pagans that he met, right? So anyway, he will soak his arrows in blood and give our swords flesh to eat, plus the blood of those strangled in their jail, and let them lose their helmets. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. So, remember, this is all under the context of like white magic. We're talking about like your enemy has to be like it's the assumption that you're not the fucking morally lesser person in the situation, right? And that can be confused with the corrupting forces of politics when you get into this kind, like it's interesting, right? Because whatever this is mostly about you in battle and your good reason, right? Like wrongs have been done. People have suffered the day before, and you chose to rise up from the suffering that was reported unto you, right? And your heart's completely in the right place about the whole thing, and whatever, and you're not wrong, and yada yada yada. Okay, so if I whet my glittering sword and mine hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to mine enemies, and will reward them that hate me. I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. Deuteronomy 32, 41, 42. 3, to make your enemies unlucky. All right. One sec. After sunset, write on an iron plate with lead the words. This is Mars and Saturn. Iron and lead. Mars and Saturn. So be mindful of what day it is that you do this and where those planets are on the day you do it. Bad luck will fall on your head, and spite cover your head. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealings shall come down upon his own pate. Psalms 7:16. Now, make sure that when you are doing that, make sure you got the full context of what's going on in that chapter at the very least. And ask yourself, in the context of the chapter, is this the appropriate incantation? Remember, we call them psalms in the English tongue because it is a European word for song. It is not a Hebrew word for song. Where the word psalm pops up in Psalms, or the word song, perhaps, I don't remember which from my interlinear lookup of it at the time, and I don't care to now, but the word phonetically translates to mesmerizing, right? This is a principle of mesmerizing. These prayers are invocations of abilities from God and his angels. Okay. His mischief shall return upon his head. Yeah, okay. So then besmoke the plate. There's a lot of besmoking going on. Are you kids besmoking in there? Then besmoke the plate and repeat 7 times the prayer. Stand up, Adonai, in your rage, and raise yourself in anger upon my enemies. Arise, O Lord, in thine anger. Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. Psalm 7:6. 4. To make your enemies unlucky. On pure racks, racks, on pure rocks, on pure wax, write the words below. Adonai, banish him away like you banish the smoke away. And as the wax dissolves in water, so should all the godless stand before God. Dumb question. I did unmute, right? Yes. Okay. Banish him away like you banish the smoke away. And as the wax dissolves in water, so should all the godless stand before God. All right. As smoke is driven away to drive away the wax, and melteth before the fire to let the wicked perish at the presence of God. Right. So I would do this more. I would think about this more as part of the alchemical process and the purification process in alchemy. And it's, you're not fucking doing a harmful thing to a guy. I mean, it'll probably happen to the guy because this is the circumstances of your enemy, right? Like, but listening to just this written under a different circumstance, I could see this magic being used to strip parasitic attachments from a person. A lot of times when it comes to the feelings of addiction you have or the feelings of temptation that are overbearing on you, it's often a parasite that's draining it from you, and you're seeking it out there, right? And I may have one or two parasites I still need to purge from myself, due to many various failings that have, that I've before mentioned without saying what they were, have gotten me in trouble and forces me to reflect. Then place the wax on 7 glowing coals, let it melt, dissolve, burn. Meanwhile, say 7 times. Oh my God, stand up and let your enemies be destroyed, and let those that hate me fly from you. Rise up, Lord, and let thine enemies be scattered, and let them that hate thee flee before thee. Numbers 10:35. 5. To revive exhausted troops. Take as much bread as you need in large loaves. Write on each loaf in molten beeswax the prayer below. On a glass bowl containing some water, write with the same wax, fill up the bowl with vinegar, pour the vinegar out of the bowl into a barrel of wine, beer or water, so that all the troops can have a drink. All right, we're going to bless the beer, baby. All right, when you cut the bread, throw the crusts into the barrel and say as you put each crust into the barrel, Adonai, you strong and mighty God, give energy to the tired and sufficient strength to the weak so that they can fly like the wings of an eagle. So this is fucking cool because, see, I could take this in my tradition and I can finagle this because this is the mead of the Einherjar, right? This is the mead that the warriors drink in Valhalla, which there's a magical goat, I think, that eats from the leaves of Yggdrasil and then makes milk that is the for the honey wine. It's something along those lines, right? Anyway, my point is that I could appeal to that goat source, right? I would leave an offering for the All Father. Maybe even Freya counts if the goat also provides mead in Folkvanger. And then you're the eagle works. The eagle is a lesser associated with Odin because of the ravens. But in his kingliest of roles, the eagle is going to be there. But the eagle works for Tyr, who is the summer god and is on the throne in the summertime. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that he have no might, he increaseth strength. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up as with wings as eagles. Isaiah 40:29 and 31. All right, so that's very interesting because it's quoting Isaiah for that magical source, which also implies going to war with Babylon and Howl. And corruption of language has turned Howl into Lucifer, and there's no etymological connection between Lucifer and Howl, even though they both are a morning star situation, falling star situation, right? The original meaning of Lucifer and his fall is in the pagan context of Zeus and not about abandoning all of the principles, right? Human beings have a very, very distinct influence on the gods. And when mankind gets really corrupted, a lot of things the gods do get translated into awful things by their projection. And when the Greeks were struggling with tyranny, Zeus became an embodiment of many of the worst behaviors of tyrants, taking him away from his more anti-Thursian nature, like the way he is as Thunar or Indra, where you get a broader scope of this archetype that helps you kind of figure out why Zeus is a little bit different in this particular regard, right? Because, you just understand that Zeus, rapes women as an animal, makes all sorts of silly beasts in the world to do horrible things, right? And so he's a chimera maker, right? He's a demigod maker and a chimera maker is a part of Zeus's character. And I think that we need to have a re-examination of the original texts and see what the classical Greeks were using as the word, and then ask ourselves, how did they extract that word from the oral tradition? Right? Because there's a very interesting relationship with the line, right? Because the Greeks were writing so fucking much. incredibly literate fucking elite class among the Greeks, with many of those men enjoying Western conceptualizations of freedom in a higher society. And perhaps the interpretation of the myths as we know it is kind of like the Hollywood of the time, profaning the gods of the time. And we're now rediscovering that there's a nuance, and that this crude language that is explained to us by the time it hits our ears in English has given us a completely false impression of the character of these gods in the time that the oral tradition was being introduced to the writing, so that way transcriptions could happen for the first time. Let's see, it's 11:50. How far are we to... Okay, you know what? I think I want to call it a night, so we're gonna read the rest of this. Then give everyone a piece of bread and a drink, and you will wonder at the strength of Adonai arising in them. Adonai, the everlasting God, who has created the matter of the earth and organized its ends. You grow neither tired nor sleepy. Your higher wisdom is unknowable. Hast thou not heard that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary? There is no searching for his understanding. Isaiah 40:28. All right, there we go. Chapter 3 of book 2, we will get to next time. For friendship, marriage, and love affairs. Oh boy. We'll see if any of this does me any good. Hey, Treva. You're welcome. All right. So that's it for me for tonight. This is Zeralath Eternal. Very successful first stream. I got to find my intro video and transfer it in, because there is an intro video option. So that way I can just start the show without the cold open, because I know how it works now. And then play the intro after the cold, after the warm up. You know, it's like I don't even know what I'm calling it, like the warm up or something. All right. So this means this means I don't have an outro song, and you know what? I think I'm just gonna be cool with that and just let it. I'm just gonna let this take a hard hit. All right. So we're gonna come to a hard stop, a nice cold hard stop. Was it good for you? It was good for me. All right. Zeralath Eternal. I'm probably going to have a light work schedule, unfortunately, next week, if I have a work schedule next week. So if my computer can make it, there will be more shows. All right. Peace.